Hey there, this is Pam Perry, Pam Perry's Picks for some of the best speakers and authors across America. Today, we're going to be talking with Leilani M. Brown. She is an advisor to executives and boards on strategy, communications, crisis management, inclusion, and equity. She is well regarded as a collaborative partner who builds relationships, optimizes performance, and drive results. Leilani has spent her career engaging leaders and teams to build connections and to foster change. Her innate curiosity, paired with her unbiased, research driven approach, allows her to uncover meaningful and actionable insights. In her most recent role as Senior VP of Stride Inc., the country's largest and leading virtual learning organization, her work was focused on career readiness, which is what we're going to talk about today, workforce development, which is what her book is about, and the future of work. As an award-winning marketing communications executive, Leilani has previously served as Chief Marketing Officer, CMO, for global insurance organization Star Companies. And she also held positions at the Economist Group, MetLife, the American International Group. But throughout her career, she's really been active on several boards. She served as a board of Middlebury College, her alma mater, and then also she's a former board secretary to the Executive Leadership Council, the preeminent member organization for global Black executive. Then in 2016, she published a book, her first book, From Campus to Cubicle, 25 Tips to Your First Professional Year, and really has emerged as a thought leader really on workforce development, equity, and inclusion and the future of work. Her opinion articles have been published in various media outlets, including Newsweek, Fortune, and Scary Mommy. She is a graduate, like I said, from Middlebury College and holds a master's degree from New York University. So with that, I'm going to bring up Leilani. Yay!
I
How
love
are
it.
you?
Thank you. Hi, Dr.
How
Pam.
are you? Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. This is really good because your book is here. And I
Thank
love the branding
you.
going on. Of course, that's what marketing communications people do, right? We get the
Yes,
whole
yes,
brand color together.
yes.
So you were actually featured in Speakers Magazine, and the issue with Dennis Kimbrough was on the cover, and which was really appropriate for you. But you were in here showing this one here, showing that the whole branding thing is going on, right? Like this is serious. But this one really just talks about how you have customized speeches that are not limited to career advice and guidance for recent grads and young professionals. You talk about culture, equity, and belonging, and women and achieving gender equity, and also personal power and authenticity. So it's one of the things that I want people to understand, that when we have this, we not only talk about your books, which is really, really good. So we're going to talk about this, but we also talk about you being able to speak and all those kind of things. So I want people to be able to know that they can go and find out more about you here, that one. But we're going to talk about your Amazon book. So when did it come out? Why did you start it? What was the initial for the first one, From Campus to Cubicle, and then from campus to career? So give us the
Thank you.
backstory.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pam. First of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk more and to be in conversation with you is really fantastic. I started the book journey really publishing in 2016, and the impetus for doing that was my desire to do two things. One, connect young people to opportunities. Because I think that there are a lot of talented individuals out there that don't have the opportunity to move ahead. And the other thing was, I was really concerned that a lot of young people were putting a lot of time, effort, investment into their higher education, graduating and being technically brilliant, but lack the professional skills or the essential skills to give them staying power. I would give intern talks as part of my corporate experience, and I'd find myself pulling people to the side and giving them advice and counsel, sometimes unsolicited, but always based on my observations and or my experience. And I had this list of tips, and I decided to write the book to give to graduates and interns and early career professionals so that they could survive and thrive in corporate workplaces.
And see, one of the things that I want to, my daughter is kind of well recent within the last 5 years. So I was showing her this particular book, and she looked at it and she says, "This is really good." She says, I like
Yay.
the fact that it's what a millennial could read, or a younger than millennial. It's like relationships matter. And what I
Yes,
find is that a lot of recent grads, they do have the book knowledge, but then they lack, because they're so techy and everything they're dealing with on the phone all the time. They're not really used to really talking people face to face, knowing how to shake hands, all the
yes,
other kind of things. So you said relationships matter. The pro tip is to send thank you notes, kind of like what our mama used to tell us, right?
yes. I
Handwritten
like a
if
thank you note.
possible, like handwritten. I just can't text them. What about an email? It's like no, handwritten if possible, and appropriate without being personally intrusive. And so one of the things you give the tips on each one of these is 25 tips. The subtitle is 25 tips for your first professional career. So this has come out, and I really think that any graduate, whether it is even from high school, even, because I think the earlier the better, they kind of ingrain these things,
Yes.
will be really, really good. But definitely for college, because one of the main things, I like number 19, right? It was like, don't be a jerk. And so one of it says is that people do business with people they like. And I
Yes.
love that. And so, you said this because you said those are the things that stuck with you. So the tips, when you put down the tips, when you find, was this like a reoccurring thing for people who were asking a lot of the same questions, or you were just seeing the different interns that were having the same issues, I guess. I like
Yeah.
number 4, right? Number 4 is like
A
develop your own
personal brand.
personal brand.
Yes, and managing your reputation. Well, I really tried to, there certainly is more that I could say, but I wanted it to be deliberately a short read, a little bit better than a graduation card. And so I made sure it was timed and published around graduation time. There's more to it. But I think that these things done well and in combination, starting early, can give you long lasting staying power in your career. Things like don't be a jerk, or that relationships matter because people do business with people they like, but also because they advocate for people they like. They give them opportunities. They make introductions, and they also give people they like the benefit of the doubt when you mess up. And guess what? You're going to mess up because we all mess up. So I think that developing effective relationships and having a way to look at your career through that lens is very, very important. And
See
yes,
what?
it's for students and graduates and early career professionals. But I think that, the update addresses the fact that through COVID, with many of us working remotely or working differently,
Hmm.
we may have developed some habits that are not serving us or won't serve us in the long term. So there are some other people who are perhaps more experienced that could also benefit from some of the tips as a refresher.
Yeah, what I like about the one is number 4. So tip number 4, develop your personal brand. And I always tell
Yes,
people, I said, it's not just someone who is a speaker, but anyone really develops once they start having a digital footprint, they're developing a brand, right? So
absolutely.
so it says, I like this, and this is so key. So young people, please listen to this. This is what I tell my daughters, and I know it's all about the gram and all that kind of stuff, but the pro tip is avoid taking photos with cocktails.
Yes,
Why? It says this
yes,
is just a good thing to learn and practice early. Photos such as these can be taken out of context and
right.
may create an image that you don't want to defend later. So before you smile for the camera, put the glass down. And I'm gonna tell you,
Absolutely.
so someone who's in HR, tell them how they're going to be searching the internet, right? And they're
Yes.
searching and they're finding pictures, and every picture you're turning up. So
Yes, yes. Well, and actually, so that's a great point and place to start. So, first of all, I think that there are some young people, or just people in general, who think about managing your personal brand as an over engineered effort. But it's
mhm,
really not. It's really important that you manage your reputation and you do it well and you do it deliberately. So, that's one thing. I always tell young people in the extended speeches that I do that managing your personal brand is thinking deliberately about where you want to go, what you want to do, or what you'd like people to think of you, and then acting deliberately in that way. I think the other thing to remember, just in the smallest interactions, upwards of 60 to 70% of hiring managers, HR managers, are checking your social media to get a sense of who you are. And we
mhm.
all know that we do it. We do it personally. We do it
Yeah,
when we're dating.
Right.
We do it when we're meeting
We
new
go
people. We're
check
like,
the
let me
Google.
see who this person is, and
Yes.
we'll Google them. So
Mhm.
I think being really deliberate about what you present forward. And if you like to turn up a little bit, maybe you want to keep your your social media super personal. But again, remember, it could be screenshot, it could be
Yes.
sent around. There's nothing that's really, truly, absolutely
Private.
yours.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah,
is private.
nothing in
So
the metaverse.
right, right. So number 20 kind of coincides with that. So work parties are still work.
Yes,
So, you'll be invited to a meeting after hours. It'll be held at a restaurant or a bar, and your colleagues will be there. Food and beverages will be served. You might even hear music that entices certain someone to accounting to break out the latest dance move. But this meeting is a work party, but not to be confused with a regular party. So don't be out there
yes.
twerking.
Yes,
Okay.
this is not the opportunity to practice all what you might have learned, legs, body, and hips.
Yes.
But it's a work event. And I think people are still they're using the opportunity to develop personal relationships and some rapport and have some fun, and you should have some fun. But think about it as a work event. And again, something that you wouldn't have to defend later.
And so one of the things I want to talk about the elephant in the room. So Black people are under a microscope a little bit further, looked at a little bit more differently than their white colleagues. And
Yes.
so you talk a lot about that in your career and things like that. So if you are an African American, you're graduating from HBCU and you go to the bar and you're certain things that prejudices are going to still be there, right? Prejudices
Yes.
people are going to so don't don't give them any ammunition to fall into quote unquote the stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
speak
and
a
I
little
think
bit about
when
that.
I did make a few updates in the book, and one of the things I said up front in the introduction is that this is not about respectability politics. This is
Mm.
not about policing your hair. I'm a natural hair curly girl
Hey,
person.
I you
Love
will
the
find
braids, Dr. Pam. Love it.
yes.
This is not about policing behavior or conforming to someone's manufactured standard of what is acceptable and respectable. This is not this. If you experience any type of racism, sexism, discrimination based on your status as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, and happy Pride Month. If
Yes.
you experience any of that, you should escalate it, address it with your manager and or with the HR department,
Mhm.
or you should find a place that is going to be respectful of you. Never accept the unacceptable. So the book is not about that. And I talk about this with young people in particular because they have an appropriate level of impatience with the nonsense. They have a very appropriate impatience with the nonsense.
Mhm.
But this is about the control factors. So, racism, sexism, the other isms, those are no control factors. This is about what you can control. Can you show up on time? Can you do good work? Can you check your work and do it without error? Can you develop effective relationships? Can
Mhm.
you pause when
Yes.
someone makes you angry and be thoughtful about how you respond? Can you attend a work party, develop rapport with your coworkers, and then go out with your friends later? So this is about the things that we can control that impact the reality of our work lives. And what I would just also say is that I was particularly concerned for young people of color, for women, people of any kind of difference. There are a lot of first generation corporate American workers or corporate workers or people who are working outside of working in different environments. I was very concerned that they were making a lot of investment into their education, but the small mistakes that would be forgiven for others would be derailers for them, and then they
Mhm.
wouldn't get the return on the investment on the education.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought this was really, really important to say, here's the information that you need to move forward. So that's a note about respectability politics, being authentically who you are, showing up authentically, which I think is critically important, but
Mhm.
also controlling some of the no control factors.
Yeah, I think I hear your passion, Leilani. It's really like it comes through. So what was the I guess you the for you to be on this trail, right? To be on this train, to really be moving this, and this is so exciting for you because this is the things you're speaking at campuses and colleges and things like that. What was it that do you have children that are around this
I
age?
do. I have a
Okay.
child. He's not a child. He is 19. He will tell me very happily. And I just dropped him off the other day for the first day of work at his summer internship.
Yes.
And he's working in hospitality, and
And
he's
he's
going to
got
learn
this
a
book.
lot. Yes. And I said, "Did you read the book?" So he's attending, and so I do have a child, but really it was based on my experience. I grew up in New York City, Queens, New York, public school kid, workers, but civil servants hadn't really had exposure necessarily to corporate America or what it took to
Mine
move
either.
forward.
Right.
And
My
I
dad
think
was
that there's
my dad was a mailman, so he didn't know
yeah.
anything about working in the office, right?
But he
My
knew
mom
how
was
to
a
work and
homemaker.
develop relationships and how to have that staying power. So there was that. It occurred to me that there were brilliant people who were being derailed from progress because of some of these no control factors. And I wanted to mitigate that. I wanted to make sure that we had the same set of opportunities. And so when you hear me get really riled up and excited, particularly even talking to these young people, it's because I am passionate about connecting them to opportunities. I tell them in some of the speeches, listen, stay woke, but don't go broke. Do this work.
I love it. I love it.
There's a lot of ways to be an activist. This is my activism in many ways, making sure that we connect people to opportunities. So connecting that young girl from Queens, that kid from Queens to opportunities that she didn't even dream about because she didn't know. She didn't know. And so that's what fuels some of the passion for this work.
What was your first job when you were coming out of college? Your first, I would say, career job or professional career job?
My first professional career job coming out of college was working as an underwriter for Chubb and Son. And essentially, while it was technically focused and analytical in terms of actually underwriting insurance cases, it was sales. And I tell people all the time, getting your career start in sales is the greatest job,
isn't it?
That you can. It's absolutely fantastic.
God,
you learn how to communicate, and the first thing that you have to know in communication is to listen and observe and read the room and read the audience and find points of connection
and learn how to accept rejection.
Yes, you're gonna get 10 no's, 20 no's. You develop a very thick skin.
Yes.
You get a performance evaluation every single day.
Yes.
You
oh my God!
So you find a way to
job. It's like a personal development tool, I guess you would say. It's like that 5th year or 6th year of college, right?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, you got all this head knowledge. You did really good, but now let's really test it out in terms of personal development. Let's do sales. Yes.
It was absolutely, I think, a fantastic experience for me in all of those ways, and refined me in many different ways. And it also taught me patience. And
dealing with different
people. Dealing with different people, resilience, and being ready on the spot. People don't know. I didn't get any pre-questions from you. This is authentic, live, and real.
this is live on Amazon Live, LinkedIn, and also YouTube. So we are live. And one of the main things too is that I knew this book, we had talked about it, and you were in the magazine and everything, and I knew that you said it was coming out, you wanted to update it and everything, and that you're speaking to colleges and things like that, and speaking to corporations. But number 8, because you're Marcom, right? So marketing communications and all of that. So writing for you is relatively probably like an easier thing than maybe statistics or something. But you still say write well. It says, in the age of email, text messages, Twitter, and emojis, right? We have become very casual and sometimes lazy about our written communication. And this part right here, when I read that, I says, we were taught that you have to write an entire sentence in a letter. You can't just do an emoji, and you can't do a LOL.
Absolutely. I think you can do that. And I think text messages become our shorthand. And that's, some people don't prefer to communicate in that way, and it's a shorthand. So very, very casual. I tend not to use emojis in emails or things like that. I tend to be really thoughtful about it. And I do write as a practice. It's a muscle that I think you have to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we should learn how to do well. And if you can just do it well enough to get you through your career, if you love it, you should write well a lot. You should
Yeah,
write regularly and refine it, and then have other people take a look at it and give you some feedback. But I think
I
writing
like
well, communicating well is critically important.
that is so key. One of the things too, I was listening to a Twitter video, I guess today,
Hmm.
lady by the name of Stacy Zeal, and she used to work for Zappos, and she was really like a high up person, really doing, and a younger person. But she said she
Hmm.
always had a side hustle. So I find a lot of people, a lot of the younger people have a campus uh, they may have started their business while they were in school, but they still go to the career. So she was working at Zappos, but she also had a career. She had this side hustle gig for 10 years. Okay, 10
Yeah,
years. And I'm thinking, like,
yeah,
oh my God. So she had this for 10 years. Finally, she left it and she's on her own. And she gave this whole reason why she left. And it's really about your number 25, which is the last one, which talks about finding balance. And she said
yes,
that she worked a lot on her Stacy said she worked a lot on her side hustle, and she was getting so many businesses and just a lot of just busy at
yes.
work. And she said she would do campaigns. She does manages Facebook ads, like maybe 75 to 100 campaigns a month. And I'm like, oh
Wow.
my God. And you also have this part-time job. She said she just realized at one point in time that she needed to, especially from working at home, that she needed to stop and she needed to have
Yeah,
balance. And she had to look at her life because they're probably now like what? She's probably now about 30-ish or so. It's like, what does she want the rest of her life to be? Does she want to stay here at Zappos the rest of her
yes.
life or go to like a bigger place, like a Facebook or what? She says, no, I want to manage my life and have balance. And that's the first time I ever heard a young person with no kids, no husband, they just said that they need balance. And I
Well, you can get off balance even just working only, right? And so family extends to, mother, father, sister, friend, community in any way that you define it. Then I talk about that too. It's also a good habit to develop early.
mhm,
We
mhm.
see these joke videos on TikTok about creating balance and saying, "Oh, I'm out." I'm not talking about that exactly,
Right, right.
but I am saying that if you work hard, it is okay to play hard. It's
Yeah.
also okay and acceptable and important to rest well, eat
Mhm.
well, drink
Drink
water,
water. Drink
move,
water.
get out.
This
So
is not a
I have my
sponsor.
water. It
Could
has
be a
a has
sponsor though.
a
Maybe that'll be a
Mhm.
sponsor.
Exactly. Hello, smart water.
Hello, smart water. We love the cucumber lime.
Yes, yes. But practice really, for example, practice really good sleep hygiene. I think that's really
Woo.
important.
That team no
Uh,
sleep is for the birds. You know what I'm talking
it's
about?
a
They're
joke.
talking about
It's
the
not, no,
hashtag team no
who
sleep. I'm like,
performs
what?
well with no sleep? Who does that? I want my surgeon to have good sleep. I want my dentist to have good sleep. I'm afraid of the dentist. I want my financial advisor to have good sleep and be solid. I
Yes.
want the person who makes my coffee to have a good night's sleep, because you're going to show up performing well and at your best. So you're
Mhm.
going to hit a point of diminishing return. So I think that it's really important very early on to make sure that you are practicing those 5 habits that I mentioned in the book. So
Yeah.
I'll give it away. It's drink water, eat well, move your body,
Move.
some type
Yeah.
of exercise, sleep
Mhm.
well, and build community,
Yes.
whatever that means to you, whether it's,
Mhm.
family relationship, romantic relationship, friend relationships, really, really important.
Tara J. Frank says, sleep is a must. Bye to hustle and grind culture. Nope.
Yes,
That is
yes.
so true. Hey, Tara J.
Very
She's
true. Hey,
also,
Tara J. She is
yes, I love
my good
her.
buddy, and I'm so proud of her. Can I mention something about
Yes,
her?
yes. Oh, this
Because
is like the
Tara
Speakers
J.
Magazine because I've heard
Yeah.
her speak before, actually at Blogalicious, and
Okay,
she
well,
was
she's
amazing.
fantastic. She's fantastic, but I'm going to tell you, she has just published and released a book that is going to be a game changer for corporate America for inclusion. It's
Ooh.
a how-to guide to move beyond concern to commitment.
Mm.
Get the Waymakers. Connect with
Mm.
Tara J. Frank after you buy from campus to career.
Go from
So
concern to commitment. That is, I
yes,
mean, have
it's
we not
important.
learned that in the last few
It's no
years?
more black boxes on Instagram. No more, fake talk tracks around inclusion. She's
MLK
telling you how to
Day.
do it. If
Mhm.
you read this and you don't do it, you're really not about it. But
It's
that's
not
my
about.
opinion.
Yes,
That's
yes,
my
no.
opinion.
The Speakers Magazine primarily is a outlet for Black speakers for them to share their messages with the communities that we all care about.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
our first issue was Dr. George Frazier. He wrote the book Race Runs in
Fantastic.
Success Runs in Our Race. Had Les
Yes.
Brown and a lot. Stephanie Mills was on the cover. I mean, people don't realize how Stephanie Mills is such a little, I don't have it right here. It's such a little, I won't say militant, but she has, besides singing the love ballads, Stephanie will go in and really,
She has a very, I think, strong, informed point of view. And
yes,
first of all, so I have to say to you, the platform that you're providing for Black thought leaders to get their message across is incredible. So thank you for what you do, Pam. You ride
yes,
hard for us. I would
yes.
also say, so I mean, you do, and I think it's really important to do that. And a lot of us have been on the speaker circuit for a while, so I just appreciate what you're doing to make sure that we have an opportunity to share the messages that are important that need to get out. So thank you for doing
Oh, thank you. And Tara J says, from concern to commitment, I wish I had come up with that. LOL.
that.
I thought you did, Tara J. I love it. That is just okay. We're gonna tweet that. That's gonna be a tweetable. But
Okay.
one of the main things too is that from campus to career, one of the things that you said, some of us are first generations working in corporate America, and there are just certain things that maybe aren't taught around the dinner table because my parents didn't know to talk about certain things. And I remember the first job that I had, I was like the only Black in that
Mm-hmm.
whole department, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt really alone. And how do you tell your parents and things like that you feel alone? It's like what they
Right.
don't
So you
understand.
better keep that good job.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of
That-
like, this is the thing. But the thing of it here is the point number one is like one of the main things is that work hard and deliver results. And
yes, yes.
one of the things and it's not just a book for African Americans, but it's just for younger people, but especially for African Americans, we always say that we have to work harder and be smarter in order to be
Yes.
recognized for some of the same things. You kind of say this a little bit just by knowing your background and everything. Because even like, when you're going to you got your master's degree, you have your bachelor's degree, that, no one had to really tell you that. You just knew that you had to do that because you're just judged more harshly.
You
And I,
are. You
I
are.
like the fact that you put it in words for people who were feeling that. And it's like,
Yeah.
now it's for real.
We talk about this idea of the Black tax. I've heard other people say. I think it was Ken Frazier, chairman and CEO of Merck, who said or shared with us, with a group of us in a small setting, that for Black people and people of difference, the presumption of competence doesn't follow you into the room. You don't
Mm.
walk into the room and assume that that person is excellent or even in charge. I've been in rooms where someone has come in and said, "Have you set up the coffee yet?" And I said, "Well, no, but I take mine Black." Or I'll bring a junior colleague with me who happens to be a white male, and they'll be speaking to them, and he will defer back to me and say, "That's my
Mm.
boss." And so we've been through those experiences, and unfortunately, they're going to continue. And I think that the key is to, again, remove some of those no control factors, make it indefensible. When you see it, face it, right? But make it indefensible. It's sort of like, listen, this person's delivering excellent work. They have the receipts, they deliver value. We want them on the team. And so that way, when you do speak up against an injustice, you are well prepared, and no one can argue with your performance. Remove that as a no control factor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we're about to wrap up. What is next for you? What do you have planned? Any events? Any speaking gigs? What's coming up?
Well, it's graduation season, and so that's really exciting. I will be doing a couple of graduation speeches in New York City. I will also be, and some of those graduation speeches will be high school speeches. High school
Ooh,
graduation is still very, very important, and I am honored to do high school graduation speeches. And I think it's important for us to recognize and destigmatize high school to career, because everybody won't go to college, and college is not a destination, it's a throughway to career.
this
And so there
you
will
know
be
what?
some people who
Yeah,
go from high school to military to career to
the
technical
entrepreneur.
schools to entrepreneurship, or they will go to school over time, like many of us. And
Mhm.
so I will be doing some high school graduation speeches. Next up is also developing a professional development series based on the book, covering things like mastering your virtual interview, how to deliver that elevator speech or answer the question, "So tell me about yourself," time
Mm.
management, conflict management, and personal brand. And they will also be very short bursts, just like the book, so that you can just sort of consume those master classes. And then I have the other parts of my business, which is more found on Leilani M where I do strategic planning rooted in culture, and also
Mhm.
some fractional chief marketing work and crisis management work for confidential clients that need a little
Ooh,
help
I
staying
love
out of the
that.
press.
Love it. I like the fact that you said about this particular book is graduation time. This is a lot better giving this to someone rather than a card. You can
Yes,
still put
yes,
the cash in the book, okay? But give
yes,
them this because this is meat that they can actually chew on for a
yes,
long time besides just a card and take it. Oh, Hallmark and just throw it. Oh, sorry, Terry.
yes.
Like and throw
Yeah,
it in the trash.
use it in lieu of a card. In
Yeah,
lieu of a card, it's just a
yeah,
few bucks more than a card
yeah.
at this
I
point.
love it.
Put
No,
the
some of
check in
these
the
cards
card
are
and they'll
expensive.
keep
Have
it.
you
They
seen
are
these?
expensive, $10 or so.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh my god," the ones I really like are like over $10 exactly.
Yes,
So
yes.
I love this. This is From Campus to Career, 25 tips for your first professional year. I love it. I love the color, the branding,
Thank
the
you.
messaging that's coming around it, the passion that you're putting
Thank you
into it.
very much.
Very strategic. Nothing, if we expect nothing less from you. She's in this magazine of I is actually if you go to speakersmagazine.com, she's in the April issue. So if you want her information, you can actually see all of that down there and you see what she speaks on and all of that as well. Personal power and authenticity. That's really you can see that right now because she was not prepped for this at all. So this is
No,
really her.
this is really my office.
This is the authentic her. So I just thank you so much on this first day of June,
Thank
uh,
you.
into summer and all of that. But I really, really just enjoy speaking with you and just learning more about what you're doing and the good that you're bringing to the world. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining
much,
us
Pam.
today.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we just were speaking with Leilani M. Brown. Make sure that you do that and that you connect with her there. I'm going to end our stream, but make sure you get her book. Obviously, I've been holding it the whole time. So if you didn't get the hint, that's the name of it. Right. So I'll end the Amazon live right now. And I'll end the broadcast in a few as well, but I leave her up there so that you can see. Make sure that you go to Speakers Magazine, download all the magazines. We've got 5 years worth of them up there, so make sure that you go there and check it out. And if you want to be featured on Speakers Magazine show, let me know. All righty. So we are out of here today. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon. God bless. Bye bye.